Hi, and welcome to this Blueberry Markets video update with me, John Kibler, head currency analyst. In this video, we're going to go through the week ahead analysis for this week. We're going to identify some news and some charts of interest. So let's jump straight in. We do have the RBA Governor Lowe speaking this week, kind of kicking it off on Tuesday. However, I think the real area that investors are going to focus on this week is in the Wednesday, where we have lots of data. It's a big old day for data. On Wednesday, we have an RBNZ interest rate hike decision. We then have flash services PMI data all over the place for France, Germany, the UK and the US. And then to top it all off, we have FOMC meeting minutes. So first of all, the RBNZ looking to hike interest rates from 3.5% to 4.25%. Now, I know core inflation or core CPI inflation, which excludes volatile food and fuel prices, has risen to all-time highs of 6.2%. So the RBNZ are needing to act aggressively, so that's why we're probably going to see this 75 basis points hike. Now, they may then in the press conference allude to the potential for more hikes to come. If they do, that could keep the New Zealand dollar strong, as it already has been for the past sort of few weeks. So if that does continue, we could see the Kiwi being a good opportunity across the board. We then have all the PMI services data coming out. Now, a lot of those are forecast to come in a little bit lower, some a little bit higher, like the US here, for instance, from 47.8 to 48. But large majority of them showing a slight decrease in the numbers there. Now, I think that PMI data may be overshadowed by the FOMC meeting minutes data. Obviously, investors are going to be looking to see if the Fed talk about any kind of hikes in December, what the level of hikes could be. Now, we already know that recent data out of the US hasn't been particularly great. They did have good retail sales numbers, but the previous inflation numbers did show some kind of slowing down, which could then equate to some easing or some slowing of the tightening of monetary policy for the Federal Reserve. So the likelihood of a 75 basis points hike in the next meeting would be very unlikely. So the dollar weakness could continue then. And then obviously we have Thanksgiving in the US, which so from Thursday, Thanksgiving, and the markets may be a little bit light in terms of liquidity. So let's jump on to the strength meter. So the strength meter showing us that the market is seeing that the dollar is the weakest currency, Kiwi the strongest currency, so a good pair to look at going into this week, both in reversal zones as well. So we could start to see a little bit of buying coming into the dollar this week, or we could start to see that continuation of weakness. Other than that, the weakest currency of last week was the euro, so maybe the euro could be under some slight pressure at the moment. I do actually think that's a bit of maybe a bit of a false reading due to the potential for the ECB to hike rates further, so we could be seeing a little bit of a false downward move there. But those are the ones that I'd point out going into this week. Going on to Euro US dollar then, so just updated some levels and some key areas to look at, and you can see that price was originally trading within this bearish channel here until sort of the end of October, where we've then started to trade out of it. We then traded above the 1.0100, which is something that we talked about when price was in this consolidation over here, where we said that price could potentially bounce between the 1.01 and the 0.99 handle. Price then started to live within that range before taking out the highs, where we've seen that continuation of strength for euro against the dollar. Now we are approaching Key resistance at the 1.0500 level. You can see we came fairly close to it already, and we've started to have a little bit of a pullback there. So if we were to see the continuation of the pullback, I'd like to see maybe a retest of the 1.0100 handle, as that is the previous kind of structure point. And if buyers then step back in there, that would be ideal to look for longs back to the 1.0500. Now, if price ignores that and we just see continuations, then we could come up into this trend line resistance here around about 1.06 handle. That is a long-term trend line formed from the weekly time frame, so that could act as resistance going forward. Going on to pound US dollar then. So pound has basically continued to make higher lows ever since we bottomed out in September. We've continued to make those higher lows, breaking into new structure highs now, breaking that 1.17 handle, which looking left spans across here as well. Looks like we're heading to the 1.22 handle, and seasonally actually the pound US dollar price could push to the upside as well. So I like the idea of maybe seeing price come back down to the 1.17 handle, maybe grab some confluence with this trend line support here, and then a move up to the 1.22 handle. Going on to Kiwi then, so very similar. Kiwi is going to be quite volatile this week. I think if price was to come back towards the 0.66 handle before the event, then we might get some action in and around this area, because we have multiple confluences. We have the bearish channel resistance turning into support, we have the horizontal support going across here, and then we have trend line support rolling through there from this upward trend line that I've drawn in there. So multiple confluences around the 0.6 handle. If buyers started to jump in at that point, we could expect a continuation of the recent move to the upside. Now you can see down here there's lots of lines going on, and you can what I've put that in for is basically because around about the 0.55 handle all the way up to the 0.5550, there were multiple confluences suggesting that buyers could step in at that point, and you know, buyers did step in and price has rallied quite significantly since that area. So I just wanted to point that out on the chart. Finally then, Euro Oz. We pointed out Euro Oz last week. Now I did talk about Euro being one of the weaker currencies last week, but it's quite obvious that there is some kind of pattern forming here on Euro Oz. We've had a large impulsive move to the upside, and then we've just pretty much consolidated, and we could potentially class this as a flag pattern where it's finding support at the 154 handle and the 153 handle respectively. So I think if we were to trade outside of this minor trend line resistance, close above it, that could offer buyers opportunities to trade to the next level of resistance, where you have this trend line here, or even the 1.6150 handle could be an area where price heads towards as well. So just something to take a note of there for Euro Aussie on this daily time frame. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel to see some more of our Forex trading content, and I'll speak to you in the next video.